Hello, 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 friends. Welcome to this day. So nice to be with you today. Happy to be alive. Another day above ground, another day to get things right. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in community with you all. Welcome. Hello, everyone coming in. Get yourselves comfortable. Grab your water, your tea, your coffee. If it's available, grab a sheet of paper, a pen, pencil. If you're creative beings, grab those markers for later on. Just have them handy and welcome. My name is Yuvelca Magdalena. I know that I'm new to many people. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to meeting you all shortly. Thank you.
Peace and blessings, sister. Peace and blessings, whole family.
Thank you. Peace and blessings. Hello, nice to see you. Hello. Happy day, good day, buenos dias. So excited to be with everyone today. Also, as you're entering the space, I do want to put a notice out there. Heavy topic might cause some triggers, so be mindful of that. Some things might come up, but we all will be holding space for each other. And please, if anything does come up for you, drop it in the chat. I will be more than happy to have support for you available if you need it. Just because it's a heavy topic when we're talking about grief, death, and loss. But it's a necessary topic. We want to avoid the state that you reside in to make decisions on anything that we own, even if it's as small as a marker. We want to make sure that we have things in place, especially being Black and brown, red and yellow people. We must receive and give nothing but excellence. So thank you so much for allowing me to have community and space with you today. So happy to be here. Hello.
Good morning, Yuvelca. How you doing?
I'm great, Adam. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Every day is a good day when you wake up.
Absolutely. It's another day above ground, another day to be happy to be alive, another day to get it right. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, Zaria. Good morning. Hi, Gina.
Good morning.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Hi. Hello. I see everyone coming in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving up your time. Hi, Kaisha. Nice to see you. It reminds me a little bit like Romper Room. Hi, friends. Hello. Welcome.
Good morning.
So many times we sit here and think when we hear the word grief that it has to be doom and gloom, and it doesn't always have to be. But there is sadness, there is confusion in that space, and there are other things that come up for us. But at the end of the day, when it comes to this particular topic, we do want to leave our families in order and not in chaos and not in extra grief. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you today. Hi, hello, Jennifer. Buenos dias, good morning.
Buenos dias, good morning.
I'm on my third cup of tea here. Talk about wake up, everybody up.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Hello, hello, friends. My name is Yuvelca Magdalena. I know that many of you are meeting me for the first time, and what I am and what I do, I am a grief worker and I am a grief companion. So I do want to give a trigger warning out there that some things might come up for you when we have this conversation. And before I begin, I would like to ask for bendiciones. It's a tradition that we do, being indigenous, Dominicana. And before we enter a space, we ask for bendiciones, which is the blessings from all of our elders, even if you're 1 second an elder to me. So I'm 48 years old. I was born on December 27th at 10:22 a.m. So please, if you're an elder to me, I would like to ask for your bendiciones before I continue. If you can, please unmute your mics and just allow me to have your bendiciones, por favor.
Given.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you. So where do we begin? When you hear the word death, what is the one thought or the one emotion or the one phrase that comes to mind? If you can share your thoughts in the chat. What's that word? What's that feeling when you hear death?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. This is Gina. Just now when you said it, the word that came to mind was no.
Yes.
And I'm complete.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. Anyone else? When you think about this word, what power do you give to this word? What emotion comes up? The no or running. I know that for me, it was avoidance. I didn't want to have anything. I didn't even want to think about it. Even though it happened, it was something that I didn't even want to acknowledge that happened. Can we give a smoother word? And then on the next slide, we'll ask you, when you hear the word grief, what is the one thought or the one emotion or the one phrase that comes to mind?
For me, when I hear grief, I've learned that it's not only death. You can grieve over the loss of a job, a loss of a relationship, the loss of your daily activities, especially with COVID, your daily routine, we had to shift so fast. And We didn't have time to process those things. So grieving what was and grieving what it and grieving what was and then accepting what it brings, it definitely brings a lot of shifts, if anything.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Chantel. It does, you know, a lot of people, they just sit in that space, and some grief is recognizable and some grief you don't notice. You'll wake up and you go through the day and you'll think, oh, my shoulder hurts or my neck hurts because I must have slept wrong. Not many people say, you know what? I woke up this way because I'm grieving something in my body. Your body knows the score, right? Keeps the score. Your body knows. I'm feeling it. This is where I'm holding it. So it's important for us to have that conversation. Grief, sadness, remembering the past. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're cool, Chantal. You can go to the next slide. That's fine. We flow like water here. How it goes, it goes. So I wanted to extend an invitation just to have a conversation about grief, especially when there is no will that's left. And there's extra grief for those that are left behind to begin mourning. Now, in this slide, I have to give thanks to the thought healer, Mika, for sharing her loving and mindful gift with me and just bringing more attention for me to raise awareness on the strength, the power, and what words mean to us. That's why here you see that I crossed out the words death and end of, end, because it brings strong emotions to us that sometimes we haven't processed properly. And someone shared earlier that, I think it was Gina, saying, no, isn't that what this red crossing out makes us feel? It's like, no, keep it away. I don't want to see it. So I'm a grief companion. And in that space, I'm a non-medical provider. I'm a professional, I'm trained, and I companion many people into this space. I'm not one to drop a lot of titles, but I'm also a Brainspotting practitioner, and I allow and I help others have access to healing when it comes to grief, loss, and death. And once again, as we grow and evolve, so shall our language grow and evolve, because as Mika helped me to understand a bit further in talking with her, people receive words and languages differently. So I need to be mindful of how I transmit and how others are willing to receive and listen in. I'm still getting accustomed to checking the chat. So I appreciate you. Thank you. A little bit of what I do. I still am hesitant with the titles because in the population and the communities that I serve, titles bring about shyness, fear, misunderstanding to them. They just want to know about the work that I do. So I don't go dropping and saying, oh, I'm a Brainspotting practitioner, I'm a trauma informed. That's too much for them to receive. They just want to be in my company, me to be present with them and just to do the work. However, as a grief doula, I can help many people. Well, one of the things I can do is help many people brainstorm a rough draft to help get the paperwork for your last will and testament and all the necessary paperwork that you need to get done for your specific state, done by you. You can do it. It's a little bit overwhelming, but it can be done by you. However, I always advise that because of how states are, we all have to know how government is, that if you want to secure this crucial step in your estate planning, you should take the advice of an attorney, although it is possible to do it yourself. We are currently doing it ourselves. And if you leave this type of work undone and leave it in the hands of your loved ones after you pass, after you transition to an ancestor, this is where a lot of the work begins, and it adds extra grief to them because they might not know or recall, because trauma has struck them. They might get stuck. They might not recall what it is that you want or how you want to do things. And usually when it's like, for instance, me, when I was left in charge, I'm like, what's the percentage? Like, Did he have a favorite? Does she have a favorite? Because these things you can take into consideration when you're doing your paperwork. Who did you have a closer relationship with? And what do you want to leave them? And like I said, your estate, it's not just for wealthy and rich people. Your estate is every single individual thing that you own, period. Whether it's lip balm, a pen, or a cup. And I say it that way just to let everyone understand that it's so imperative and important just to have the paperwork done so we can avoid the state once again telling us on our behalf what we can do, what we can't do, and what they're going to give to other people that belonged to us once upon a time.
Beautiful. And Yuvelca, can you share with us a little bit more about brain spotting and what that looks like in your work?
Brain spotting is a body-based healing modality. It was discovered and founded by Dr. David Grant. I was taught and trained under my mentor, who is the #1 Black American female brain spotting trainer in the world. Her name is Tracy Gantlett Monroy. And what it does is that it helps us to understand that when we experience a traumatic event and grief, and mind you, we can't avoid traumatic events, right? Vicarious trauma, secondary trauma, it gets trapped in our bodies, and it gets trapped in the part of our brain where we say it in Brainspotting that it's get held like a trauma capsule, and it repeats over and over and over unprocessed, right? It repeats over and over in our brain. So what brain spotting is, it's a focused eye, because we say where you look affects how you heal. It's a focused eyes gaze. And in there, you can find a brain spot through that focused eyes gaze, focused, that gives access to the subcortical in your brain. And the brain and the body know what to do, right? Body keeps the score. And we're wonderfully made to heal ourselves. We're all healers. So what brain spotting does is gives you access to give healing to yourself. And the beautiful part of it, that my mentor Tracy says, she calls this the tool of liberation, because you don't have to say a word. You don't have to share with me. You don't have to relive the trauma. You don't have to share that with me. The brain and the body know how to do the regulation within themselves to find whatever trauma is trapped in your body and give you access to healing. So you feel it somatically. It's beautiful, it's experiential and relational. So it's something that you need to experience to really grasp it. And I'm more than happy to give access to that towards the end of our presentation. Let me see the chat.
Okay, so I'll read it for you.
Oh, thank you.
So Amelia from Facebook said, when I hear death, I think, what happens when we die? Where do we go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I sit
And
with that.
that brain mapping sounds very fascinating. It sounds liberating, and it just very different, but it just sounds very liberating to help someone go through that process, and then they don't have to relive it as well, and you can still support them.
Absolutely. It's the way that I receive it, and when we go through is constant training as well. It's very Eastern. So Dr. David Grant has been doing this for many years. It's around 2003, but now it's getting more headway as far as being recognized with EMDR, EFT, all these other modalities. And it really helps. It helps with, it doesn't always have to be trauma, right? Because when we go in for healing, it's like, oh, it's always trauma. No, it can be something that you want to do better. You want to organize better. You can brain spot that. You can brain spot anything. 1 minute of brain spotting is better than 0 minutes. And it goes in deep and it can go in fast. And once you experience it, I received healing. Once you experience it, it's life-changing. So let's talk a little bit more about these words, grief and death. Does grief always mean death? No, grief is not always exclusive to death, just like Chantel shared. It could be just a loss of anything, a loss of the old personality, especially with COVID. There have been so many families that they've worked hard, immigrant families, they worked hard to get here. And in one moment, they lost everything. They can be grieving that. Does grief always mean death? No, grief does not always mean death. And the beautiful part of this, that it also brings it back to us. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? You can be a collector of mugs. Here comes your grandchild. Oh, I want to take a drink of your tea. Your grandchild takes the cup and drops it. The cup breaks. It's a cup that you've had for a long time. It's a cup that had sentimental value. You can grieve over that. You can grieve over that. We need to normalize it more. It's part of our life. And once grief touches you, it's always with you. But once again, it doesn't have to be doom and gloom. And today I just want to have this knowledge share with you all, about what does it look like when you don't leave your house in order? And if anyone can relate, would you please share any of your stories? Have you ever been in a situation where someone has passed and they didn't leave their house in order, that paperwork, just making the decisions on what did they want towards the end of their life? They could be in the hospital and they might have not left a healthcare proxy, or they might have. Have you ever experienced anything like that? And what was that like for you? It could be a heavy topic. So I'll go first and I'll share. I have some stories to share. Go ahead, Gina. I see you unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, it is a heavy topic. You're right, but we need to talk about it. I've been through a lot of loss, a lot of family members transitioning, and they've never been prepared. We've never had a will written out. Um, never. So, and I did have one experience with a friend, when my boss actually, when her mother passed away, and and that lady had a list of everything for her family. She, she was old school Southern Black woman, and just knew her, knew all her children and grandchildren, all their lives. They knew what possessions would go to them, because she had, those old things that she's had in her family for years and generations. And so it would be, Deidre, you're going to get, the butterfly plate set. Corinne, you're going to get, the dishes, the glasses, whatever. And so when she transitioned, it was so different than anything I've ever experienced with my family, because we're always stressed out. Like, there's always a meeting and it's okay. Well, first off, they're figuring out the arrangements. Ooh, what do they want? Okay, we got to bury, we're going to cremate. What did they want? I don't know. So, I mean, my brother and father had always said, cremate me. Don't waste the money. Don't waste the money. So we knew what they always wanted, but no one else had ever even said that much. So we always have to have a meeting to figure out what we're going to do, with the person's remains. Then there is afterwards the cleanup of their living space, which for my grandmother took my mother and sister about over a year to go through all of her belongings and figure out what to do with them, because there were no instructions left. And and that's just stressful, just having to be with the person's things when they're not there anymore. So with my uncle, we just cleaned out his apartment the night he passed away. We just went straight from the hospital because we were so traumatized from all the other things that we went straight there and just cleaned everything out, called people, organized trucks to come. There's one guy who had a friend who's like, oh, yeah, he sells things. Tell him to come pick up this stuff. We're putting it outside right now. I mean, that was stressful too, because we weren't like processing him yet. We were just like having to dispose of things. So when it's listed out and just clear what to do with me and everything that I'm leaving, that family was like joyful. They were joking. We were like laughing as we're going through her things and packing them up, because we knew exactly where we were sending everything. And it was just, so you could just sit and do, just as we're packing, I got to know her, and I never met her. But as we were like packing her things, you know, I got to joke around with her kids and her grandkids and talk, and it was just such a different experience than anything that we've had in our family around transitioning. And I'm complete. And thank you
so much.
for this conversation.
Thank you for that feedback. It's so necessary, because when we think of that, you know, and a lot of people say this is a celebration of life. It doesn't really feel too much of a celebration if things are not left in order. It just like you shared, Gina, it's easier just to pick it all up, and it's really not, because it doesn't give you time to grieve. I see Keisha, your hand raised. What would you like to share?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
It's Kaisha.
Kaisha,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. I appreciate that.
Yes, no problem. Listening to Gina, it just started sparking experiences that I've gone through being on the outside looking in. So I've been away from home since home is New York. And I've been away from home since 1999, but watching my family navigate the after process of grief while they're grieving has been very heartbreaking. I have a 22-year-old cousin who, well, he's probably 30 something, but he was 22 when he passed. And that was emotional watching them meaning my mother and my sister, because my grandmother had custody and they all, you know, took care of him. So watching that process, and he didn't have much. He had, he lived with everyone. So he had sneakers and ball caps and clothes, but just the emotion of dividing his things, and the grief process, just the anger between the sisters. And then he passed, and they just really couldn't get over whatever animosity they had about him as he was growing up. There was just things coming up as he was growing up, not even amongst his own parents, between the aunties.
Wow.
But then my grandmother's passing, oh my, you know, I don't think she had a will, but she did have a lawyer. She did have that to divide, let's say $3,000. And my mother and her sister was at odds over pennies.
Yeah.
Like Gina said, when she passed, my grandmother passed in Florida. So they had to go to Florida to get the body. And that was emotional. And they had to clean out her apartment. And that was emotional. And it was a lot of, like you said, they wiped the apartment out. So neither one of them had time to shift. Neither one of them had time to grieve her things. They had to figure it out really quickly, put it on a moving van and get it back to New York and get her body back to New York. So
Yeah.
it's like you said, while you're grieving, but you don't have time and you have to take care of business right away, that's the hardest. So then it became really serious. My mother had my grandmother's furniture in her home. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks, her apartment caught on fire. And my mother's grief just,
Yeah.
my mother's still going through it.
Hits the roof. Yeah. And the thing is that your body keeps all of that in. And if you have no way of processing that, that stays with you on top. They call it the onion, right? We always talk about these. This is nothing new.
Yeah,
It
layers.
keeps the layers, the onion. Do you add on, right? Does the onion get bigger or do you peel it back? And some people just stay in there over the years.
Yeah. And one significant argument, it ended between the sisters. It ended, you ain't never got to talk to me again. You ain't never got to talk to me again. Over pen, and I'm on the phone listening to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, y'all are fighting over pennies. But your grandmother shouldn't have put her in charge. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
And so, like I said, on the outside, it was just very heartbreaking. It was very so yes. From my own experience, I've only verbally told my older daughter what to do, but this is I have to put it in writing. And I recently last week I told her, she's 21, my youngest is 14. I said, your father might I'm single. It's like, your father might object, but you get your sister. I need to put that in writing.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier, absolutely. And the thing is that we can start them even small. You know, I do that with, now that we're grieving, you know, we're actively grieving my father-in-law. My 6-year-old, you know, I tell him all of these things are your estate. You can divide your toys. So he took some of his toys and he wants to put it on his site. We need to realize that this is all part of us. Everything that we own, everything that we are, has our energy. And we are our estate, everything. Thank you for sharing, Kaisha. I see the chat going and I see hands raised.
Yeah, if I could read the chat for you and then we can go to Celia. No problem. So Amelia said from Facebook, oh, sorry. No, this is Jen. 1 second. Oh, sorry. No, we have two. So Amelia said, I think of loss as an end of a thing. In that sense, it's the death of something. That example felt like the death or end of that cup. I think we can normalize the word death by recognizing it's a normal part of our experience. When we take a breath, it's the end of one breath before the next one is taken. And then Jem said, a friend's mother wanted to be cremated, but it wasn't in writing, and one of her sons was opposed to cremation. So the funeral director told them until they agreed, they couldn't move forward with final arrangements. She ended up being buried, which was against her will. And that's the end of the chat. Yeah. Did you want to respond? Yeah. All right, Celia, we're going to take you off mute. Hey, Celia, you still there? All right, we'll come back. So, Afriye?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good morning. So I've had, when I was growing up, 2 deaths, my little cousin and then my grandmother. So I was just, young and really not involved in all the process. Then later on, as an adult, my dad died, but he's in the Virgin Islands. I'm in New York. Get a call suddenly. He fly down. They tried to get brothers and sisters together, and nobody cared because he was not a great dad, that kind of thing. So this was very, very stressful. And going over there, nothing in place, can't find people, went into the apartment, stole his passport, this and that. Luckily, I kept in touch with a few people there. One of my professors who had now was now with a detective with the police department, and I had a lawyer friend. So without these 2 people, it would have been, hell to, get things done. So that was very, very stressful. But in the end, one brother showed up and helped me out. So that, and then deciding who to give what. And he was a musician, so he had all his clarinets and his things and so on. And my brother was also into music. I said, just take all this stuff. And I held on to like the passport, not the passport, I found his naturalization certificate and his birth certificate and some ID. So I held on to that and had to give away tons and tons of clothes because he was a dapper, like to dress, give away all that stuff. But then not having any, support in something like that, it stays with you, because even today I often wonder, even if he was not that good of a dad, but he was still your dad, how could you not even care, And I remember saying to one sibling, what would you say to your children when they ask you about their grandfather? Where was he buried? Where you have nothing to say? And this, even to this day, this bothers me. And this was what my dad died in 2005. And so that was that. Then I had a situation with my mom. Always took care of her and all of that, brought her up here and all of this story. The lady gets sick and she's dying and everything, had surgery, all of that. My sister, she comes up here and she says, oh, why are you prolonging the lady's death? You have her hooked up to all these wires and everything. And I am like, I am not pulling any cord, any wire or nothing. Just in case something should happen, I don't want to be blamed that I'm the one who killed her. Let nature take its course. Went home, came back. My sister had the people in the hospital take everything off. And she said, I said, but I am the medical proxy. She didn't care. And then you have the oh, well, my mother said, this earring is for you and this chain is for you. But that's not in writing. Once the person dies, it doesn't matter what you say when you're alive. But once that person dies, then you see all the ugliness coming out of your siblings. You know, you see all that, and you just shocked. And if you are the one who's always there for the person, and then you find out they did something, like, for instance, finding out now, oh, my sister said, well, I have the land paper. She gave me the house paper. You're like, what? I'm the one who's been there. I'm the one who did all of this, and now that's what I'm hearing. And then that person has attitude, and after the death, don't talk to you, and you're trying to figure out, about what did you do wrong? You did everything as far as you were concerned that was right. You were the one there. You were the one paying the bills. You were the one taking time off your job. You were the one running, you know. And at the end of the day, you find out, oh, so that's what she did. She gave my sister the papers to the house and the land. So you carry that with you until you come to a point for yourself and you say, you know what? She's dead and gone. You did what you had to do. She did what she thought she had to do. Leave it. Because if you don't do that, you'll be a miserable person. And you will be always doubting yourself and wanting to know what you did wrong. And I came to the realization that I did nothing wrong. I did everything that was right. And if my sister wants to be a BITTH, let her be that way. Because as my grandmother used to say, you leave them alone, they'll come home wagging their tails behind them. So that gave me, when I thought about my grandmother and the things she used to say, that gave me some peace, and I just left it alone. And but for myself now, with my 2 children, I'm going to make sure, and my 2 grandchildren, that I put things in place early. It's a hard thing to talk about, but I'm going to have to talk with my son and explain to him everything that I want done, because you never know. You can just die suddenly, and then you leave that chaos for the person behind. So, you know, it's good to put it in writing, not just say that chair is yours and this airing is yours, because everybody knows that. But once you're dead, everybody didn't hear you say it.
Right. The words go with your breath, and it's unheard. Thank you for bringing so much to light. I appreciate all of that, what you're saying, especially when you said having property in another country. I experienced that myself, and that brings a whole world of problems. You're here in the States, someone has passed in transition, they have property, in my case was in Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic. People will not believe the story when you tell them, I have to hire an investigator, a private investigator over there. You have to have an attorney here and over there just to sort things out. And it gets worse with no paperwork. So I appreciate what you're saying, and my heart goes with you. And I hope that some repair or some recovery to the relationships lost can be had, because we lose so many during times like this. Thank you for your sharing.
You're welcome.
Catherine?
Right. So Fruye was first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
That's
you for
okay.
that.
No problem.
Greetings, everyone.
Hello.
Greetings.
It's so interesting because I haven't been on Woo for a very long time. And today I came on. Interesting because this is the month of my mom and dad's month. My dad transitioned September 16th, 2002. My mom transitioned September 6th, 2019. September 20th is the day we buried my dad and my mom and dad's 64th anniversary. So I decided that I am going to have a celebration of their life in my home. Now, just to switch a little bit, my father's mother, my grandmother, I respect her so much because before she transitioned, she sent her eldest granddaughter her obituary.
Okay.
She told her exactly where her clothes was at and whatever else needs to be done. She didn't send anything with give this to that one, give that. She didn't do that. But she did that with the clothing and the obituary because she knew my father and her other son, my uncle, they bickered a lot. So to avoid that, she did that. Now, when my mom transitioned in 2019, prior to my mom transition, I was like, Ma, you need to write an obituary, not obituary. You need to write who gets what. And my mother said, and I quote, I ain't got shit. So there's nothing for y'all to fuss over. So I said, Mom, I'm telling you, you need to write stuff down. Well, Mommy went and she didn't. And I was very upset with her. There's still something that's in the link with my mom transitioning and me getting it or whatever it is. And my sister not wanting to bend. So I'm just like, okay, this is going to be where it is. And on this conversation, there's so many things that I'm realizing for myself. And I look at the stuff in my house and I go, well, I ain't got nothing. Sort of kind of with my mom's feelings and emotions. However, I realize, Afriye, you do have something. And the emotional piece behind it that someone spoke about, an outfit, a pocketbook, is something that someone in my family, perhaps my granddaughter, my son, may have enjoyed and liked and always wanted it. So for me, there's this aha moment to where it's like, it is important to write it down.
Yes.
And when the time comes, because we never know when the time comes, let them see it on paper and then decide, I really don't want this. I'm going to give this to you. Or even, I don't want this. I'm just going to trash it. It's so very important. And I thank you and those that shared for sharing, because now my mind is becoming more settled with the what to do's and more settled on the 24th to celebrate my mom and my dad's life. And whoever comes, whoever doesn't come, it's all right, because everyone has choice and opinion. And I don't know how the 24th and that celebration will affect them.
Right.
So honoring them in that way and honoring myself in the way I want to honor my parents' life together. So thank you for this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing, and my heart goes out to you and with you. And thank you so much. It just makes me feel like I am in alignment in what I'm doing and in what I'm called to do, because all of this spun out for me during COVID. Before COVID, I was a birth and postpartum primarily doula. And then when COVID hit, it just spun all these other certificates and degrees and everything else that I have. And being an ordained minister, like I said, I don't do the titles, I rather do the work. But that's what I help as a death doula, as a grief companion with the healthcare proxy, the living will, the power of attorney. There's 2 power of attorneys that you need: a DNR, medical orders of what you want done just in case. And I call it the just in case process. Just in case, you never know. It might not be a passing. It might not be death. What happens if you're unconscious? What would people do for you? And then, as you mentioned too, just the items, you do have things, because when someone transitions or passes, it's the little things that matter. The brush that she used or he used. You know, I'm grieving my father-in-law. I'm saving his brush. So when my son wants to brush his hair, he can brush his hair with his grandfather's brush. You know, he brought a good quality brush. So it's almost like when we go to museums, right? And we see all these artifacts, they have everything in it, the scissor, the mirror. Why can't we? Why can't we? So thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you. And I'll read from the chat, and then we can take Abimbola, then Catherine. So Teresa on Facebook said, when my father had a stroke, there was nothing in order. He never talked to us about where to find stuff. We got an elder care attorney to help with applying for Medicaid, POA, healthcare proxy, etc. but no will. My mom, sister, and I made decisions collectively, thinking on our feet. I think my grieving process really started well before his death a year later. And I just said, I have seen families at odds over what was left legally and opposing a will. Seeing that, I have told my parents if they do not will me anything, or if they do not will me whatever they want, I will not fight for my inheritance. I have a will and have shared with my children what their inheritance is. They aren't fully aware of the amount of money they were being left, but they know there is some money and it has been willed to them. The matter of who will raise my teen daughter was harder to decide than the division of things. Thank you, Nigel and Teresa.
Thank you for that. I just want to add in harmony to that. They don't need to know how much. No one needs to know the value of what it is that you have, because this goes on the flip side. What if you do have wealth beyond wealth? They don't have to know you're going to get $1.7 million. They don't have to know that. You know, these things can be safeguarded. The whole point is just to have it done. And this is where in the United States, not many people hear of death doula because they run away from, oh my gosh, death. But it's the ending of things, but also the beginning of other things as well. And I'm just happy to be able to shed light in the work that gets done. You have someone with you, a companion with you, to go ask the tough questions. So at least you get through the process of the paperwork. And you know what? Nothing is set in stone. It can always be changed. And you could even write a document against the documents of the original will. For instance, if you were married or you had a good relationship, you could do like an amendment or an addendum to and say, you know what, if we don't have a good relationship by the time I pass, this thing that I said that they can have, or this, please send it to their children, or to anything is possible. And we just need to be aware of that. So thank you so much for your share.
Ari Abimbola.
Yes. Yes, blessings. I live in Georgia and I'm on my way home right now from just buried my niece on Wednesday. And just want to share experience for the community. So my niece was 57 years old and she passed from brain cancer, but she was sick for a while. But she didn't have a will. And she had my sister's 87 and she has a son. And there was a problem in terms of who was going to do what, because my sister wanted to take over. But the son, the oldest, he was the next in line to take over. However, I was able to, from Georgia, assist. And but so in terms of the obituary, so I wrote the obituary and with the support of the son and my sister, put everything together. But I want people to know from this experience that I'm going to write my own obituary. When I wrote the obituary and I gave it to, sent the copy to my sister, I sent it to my nieces. Don't put this in it. Don't put that in it. It's important. We don't want to do it, but write your obituary. I did my niece justice because I knew what she wanted and I had to reword certain things, but it was important. And like when people were saying about the, it's important. My niece, she didn't let us know about her insurance, didn't let them know, but they had, everything worked out. I don't want to take up too much time. Everything worked out, but it's important, like people were saying, put stuff in writing, what you want, and know that if it's a mother and a child, the child is next in line. I have all my stuff in place. I have a will. Fortunately for me, I have one child. She knows everything and I told her. But she's not happy But I did tell her my wishes. But the bottom line is when I go, she's gonna do what she wanna do. So so we have to understand that, you know, and I'm complete. I'm in South Carolina. I just left yesterday and I'm not home yet. I'll be home today. But I just want people to know that it's important. Put this stuff down because the family, like someone else said, they're gonna argue about this and that. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you. My heart goes out to you and my condolences to you and your family during this difficult time. Thank you for shedding light to that. And as you said, the family fights, but if there's no will, can you imagine it happens? The family is fighting, but then the state comes in with their laws, and then they decide who's next in line and what's the division, whether you agree with or not. And when you write your will, you can put anything in there, folks. And like I said, I'll extend myself with an offer. I'm willing to help because this is near and dear to me because of my own personal experiences as well. It's important for us to have this in place, as they say, when you get married, in the honeymoon period. When everything is happy and everything is great, just jot it down. It can always be changed. Nothing is set in stone, but this does offer protections to you and your loved ones. And it gives them comfort too, that they're making some kind of a decision along the line of what you have wanted. And it also gives them permission to say, yeah, she gave me this, but no, thank you. It gives them that permission and it helps in the grieving process. Thank you for sharing.
All right, we're going to take one more share from Catherine, and then we can jump back in.
Yes, grace and peace, love and light to the community on this glorious day. Thank you, facilitator, with your beautiful voice and your beautiful face and your important information. Thank you so much. I wanted to share that one of the reasons why I continue to do this life work, and that's how I see the Wake Up Everybody community, and now that I'm involved with Be the Tree, the life work affords us a freedom when we have to make decisions. And I love hard conversations. I do. I've always been attracted to deep conversation, hard conversations. And I'm going to talk to you later too, because I was exploring my next season of life. And for some reason, I'm very comfortable with being with people when they're making their transition from this planet to wherever they go. And so I'm just inspired this morning about the energy that I've put into life work, finding out who I am when life happens, and embracing the beauty of being with someone when they're getting ready to make their transition, and disconnecting from the things that hold us hostage. You know, that story you told about the brush, that warmed my heart. And finding that the simple things can continue the love and happiness after the person has made their transition with the ones that they have left behind. So I am so ready for hard conversations because I'm seeing the benefits of it. And so I'm going to suggest to my sisters that we sit down at the table with my niece, my older nieces, and my mother, who's just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. So, have the conversation. So it's not a mystery of what her thoughts was and what our thoughts are. Right? Because I'm not connected to clothes and shoes and scarves and hats. I just am not. However, just to make an opportunity and a space for us to have the necessary conversations. Because ever since I've been here on this planet, I've noticed that people die. So it's going to happen. So let's be prepared. So we do know, right? We could get married in the next month and we have to bury somebody that we just married, because so it's never too early. That's what I'm learning. It's never too early, but it can be too late. So thank you so much. I'm complete.
I appreciate your share. Thank you. And I just want to just reiterate again, I have put together a workbook for New York right now. I'm working on PA because that's where we're currently grieving, and also for overseas. So those documents will be coming. But as you give your love offering, I will send you this PDF. You know, it's about 40 pages of documents for New York alone. And that's going to go back into the community, just to put that out there. And if you need any assistance for any other states, please reach out. I'd be more than happy to help. So you can do this now. And like I said, it's not set in stone. You can change this. You can even get your children involved. You know, what would you like that to be? And not everything needs to be doom and gloom. As I mentioned earlier, it could just be putting things in place just in case something occurs to you where you're not able to speak, where you're unconscious, where you're not well. Who do you want to take care of you? Where do you want to stay? What happens to your house? You know, do you want them to lease it out, rent it out on your behalf? You have to put those power of attorney documents in place. It doesn't always just have to be a transition or a loss. You know, as far as death is concerned, it could just be you're not, what happens if you injure your feet and you're not able to walk for a couple of, I've been in this situation. So it's just to share. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all in the space.
Okay, you're welcome. You want to thank everyone for joining us so far, and then we'll continue.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us so far. I know that some of you, we all know some of you might have to leave. I appreciate the time that you've had in this space with us. Please feel free to reach out, and I hope that you all have a powerful, powerful day. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a difficult topic. Please take a moment to take care of yourselves, love on yourselves, and just remember that you are all loved and very much thought about in this community. Thank you. Whew. Heavy, heavy topic, but let's continue with the wording. And how can we avoid the state making laws, rules on our estate? Intestate, that's the word that is used. What does that mean? Someone passed away without creating a will. But what it really means, and this is what I want people to understand, what it means is that now you're allowing the state to make decisions. I take that personal as a woman of color. I'm done. I do not need you taking over, making more decisions, doing anything else on my behalf that's going to affect my family or my children. So let's think about that for a moment. They get to decide what family gets what percentage of money and what property. They get to decide who it is according to that state's law. So what if you don't know this family member and you haven't had any connection with them? Why should they receive anything from your estate? Or should they? If you don't put that in writing, the state gets to decide. And also what I recently found out, in some states, they'll put a publication out in the newspaper. And if the family doesn't respond in a certain amount of time, guess what? State gets to keep it. How does that make you feel? I'm not cool with that. And this is why I help to bring awareness to this. Now, with everyone sharing, I just wanted to give a brief connection share. Currently, my family is grieving one of our elders. And here I just put a list of just a couple of things just to share the extra grief that can occur if things are not set in order. So I do want to start out that he did have life insurance set in order with his beneficiaries, but not for his pension, not for the annuity, not for the Social Security, and I'll explain later on. He did not get to complete the power of attorney, and he did not get to complete his will. So currently right now, I'm understanding and learning the laws of Pennsylvania, and his place of work was New York. He was a veteran, so we didn't find any documents. We had to go scrambling. We had to find his paperwork for veterans so he can have a proper farewell. Then we found out that he was a conceal and carry gun owner. So now we're responsible for, where's the piece? Where is it? He has a medicinal marijuana card holder license. You know, the I don't know what that is, a ticket, or he has the card. So now we have to be mindful of his medicine. On top of that, he's the owner of this house, but then he also had 3 other houses somewhere else. And his family dynamics, I'm jumping just for time, but his family dynamics was that he decided to be legally separated from his wife, which gave him the permission to date. And now that things were not put into place in order, I say we because I bear the burden with my husband, but him and his mom, which is my mother-in-law, they need to make the decision of all of this that's going on right now. And although they put in a separation, she is his wife, therefore gets to make the decisions. Extra stress for us, more for us to try to make the best decision for him while the family has their own emotions. And this is a smaller family compared to my family. They're a small nucleus, it's mother, father, and son, while my family was a family of 9, and I'm the eldest. Next slide, please. Now, going through this current experience brings about triggers of memories of my father who passed away in my arms, and also triggers of my grandfather who passed away during COVID, but had property in DR. When it came to my father, his place of residence was New York and his work was New York. So we dealt with New York. He wanted a Viking type funeral, like cremate me, put me in water. His sister objected. She wanted a family burial plot in St. Raymond's with his parents. He was a fireman and custodian, a board of education. He was a gun owner, but not a legal carry gun owner because he was a hunter. So then we had to figure out how to properly handle that. He received pension, annuity, Social Security, but he had no life insurance and no will. And he was a part owner of a house with 2 other siblings. He also left behind a lot of unpaid debt. And his family dynamics was, he was divorced from my mom. I say father, but he was my stepfather. So he had 2 biological children, which are my younger sister and my younger brother. And then me and my brother, his stepchildren, and because we weren't named, we didn't receive. But I was left to handle the paperwork because he named me his healthcare proxy and the power of attorney, but a durable power of attorney. So I was able to make decisions on his health. And then I was also able to make decisions when it came to his finances, but I wasn't included in any of those things. So I was processing my grief and then also feeling some type of way because he raised me since I was 2 years old, but I had to put everything down according to his wishes for my brother and sister, and for them to split their half out of good faith with me and my brother, which never occurred. So that added even more to the grieving process. The good thing about it is that he did at least leave a handwritten note of, this is what I want, this is what you would, you should do. And it eased that burden on me, to at least I can feel good, I can feel calm, I can leave with clean hands and a clean conscience because I did a majority of what he wanted, except for the Viking funeral, because his sister won on that. I was not going to fight. I was grieving enough. I wasn't going to go there, but I made peace with that. Thank you for letting me share. Next slide. Yes, brain break. It's a very heavy topic. So if you can, take a few moments just to stretch, give yourself what your body needs, grab some water, have some tea, and about this time, if you can and you're able to grab that sheet of paper and pencil And maybe we'll have enough time to do a short activity to help with just noticing and processing some grief. In some workshops that I do, I just shrunk it down a bit so that way we can just release some of whatever we're feeling. And I'll check the chat if possible.
Yeah, so let me read some of these responses.
Thank you.
Welcome. So Nigel said, we did a medical POA for my son before he left for college. He asked if he needed a will, and I told him he didn't need one because he didn't have anything. In this conversation, I'm learning that he does have things and has a right to leave those things in a manner he wants. I will have him reach out to the attorney to get a will for himself. Awesome.
Thank you.
Stacy said on Facebook, thank you for your presence and service. I have been in a conversation with myself of becoming a chaplain. I was going to get certified this year. I will be by next year. That's right, Stacy.
Nice.
I lost my dear cousin yesterday, and now I am connected and assigned to people before they transition. And I know that I am connected to and assigned to people before they transition. All right, and we send our condolences to you, Stacy. And she also said, it's interesting that we prepare for birth, but not as rigorous prepare for death, the end of someone's existence. What an honor it is to send them to their new home in peace and integrity. Context is decisive. I'm really going to keep death as a beautiful farewell and honoring of their greatness and how I can service them powerfully and joyfully. And we agreed that you do have a soothing voice in the chat.
Thank you.
And that helps with a topic like this. So thank you. Stacey also shared death is inevitable. So let's get created as a space. So let's get it created as a space of love and honor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings to you all. Thank you for your share.
All right. And do we want to move on, or are we still on our brain break?
We can move on. I would like to do share the activity because I don't know who has been, triggered. It's a very heavy topic, and I just want to be mindful of that. So I wanted to share this slide because this is what brought about the idea of this activity, that we grow around grief. A lot of people think that grief just takes us over completely and that we will be this way forever. We don't see that small light at the end of the tunnel. However, as you can see by this graph, slowly grief does get smaller and you do grow bigger, but it never goes away. And this is not something to be fearful about. Oh my goodness, grief is always going to be with me. It is, but you just grow bigger around it. And that's what our activity will be around today. Just to shift us out of the heaviness and into a creative way to process just a little bit of that grief that we might be experiencing individually and as we all share, right? Because we cannot escape vicarious or secondary trauma just by listening and just feeling the energy coming off of the screen. We are all connected in grief together. So if you have your paper, I'm going to do this right along with you. If you have your paper and pen, you don't have to draw the circles like this, but this is just going to help us explain a little bit of what this activity is about. And it's just a noticing. It has a little bit to do with what I also do with Brainspotting, and a little bit also as a grief companion. We think about zones. It's almost like a garden to me. And I'm sharing how it works for me, and maybe this will inspire you and give you some ideas yourself. Of 3 different zones, 3 different areas, 3 different vibrational spaces: your body, your physical body, your house, your physical house, your home. I say house because in certain situations, your house might not be a home, but it is a house, it's a shelter. And then the outer zone, the outside spaces. And I see a lot of comments coming in from the body. So this would be great with this activity. So on your paper, let's focus first on the body. And we'll keep it simple and we won't get too deep. If anyone needs any further help or assistance, please reach out. Like I said, I'm here and available. So let's focus on our body. You can write the word body on the paper. And as you write the word body, just notice as you're writing it, what feelings are coming up for you? What shape is coming up for you? You know how sometimes when we're thinking about our weight or we're watching workout videos, they talk about the body types, the body shapes. It's almost something like that. So when you think about your body, give yourself a shape. And in that shape, for me, I put a triangle. And just notice as we're doing this, what's coming up for you. This is just a noticing. And in that shape, write 2 or 3 adjectives or a thought that comes up to you when you think about your body. And this is all surrounding in grief and how it comes for you. So I'm doing this along with you. So I'm going to say right now, I just feel exhausted. I'm putting exhausted and tired. I like that upside down pair. If I was a better artist, I would draw upside down pair. I'm gonna stick with the triangle. And just notice. Say like, okay, my body, I'm in my body, and this is how I feel around grief. And then as you're noticing that, give yourself a number. Right now, we're just talking about your body. Just give yourself a number. In Brainspotting, we call it, clinicians, everyone calls it on a SUD scale, just from 0 to 10, and the intensity that, you know, you feel that particular feeling or that thought in your body. And with what I'm feeling with my exhaustion and tired, I'm gonna say I'm a good 7. Because I like being up with the sun away from more. So we have that there. And just notice what you feel in your body with these adjectives or this thought and the intensity of it. And as you sit with that for a moment, you can do, I like to do little arrows, like I'm going to here. You can just get creative with this. And this is something that you can expand on. Just notice. And as you look at that number of intensity, what if you can imagine? And if you can, hi. And if you can imagine, bringing positive energy or positive vibration to that level of intensity, what would that look like? And I'm just going to give you an example. For me, I'm at a 7 with my exhaustion and being tired in my body. So what do I think, or what could I bring to enhance some positive energy into that space? To me, it would be the feeling of the breeze, just some sun. So I would write that. I like to do little dashes, and I'll put some sun, fresh air. And that's your body zone. And sit with that for a moment and move on to your other zones and your other areas as you continue this activity. So we did the body. Now we'll go to our house, or if your house is a home, we go to your home. And I differentiate that with intention. Like I mentioned earlier, you can be in a house, but it's not your home, but it's still shelter. So I write the word house. And then what comes up when I look around my house and I feel or see what feels like grief to me. And you can either identify a space or you can identify adjectives like in your body. And for me, I don't even know what to call that space over there. I'm just gonna put that space over there, that room over there, that room. And how does that room over there makes me feel? What's coming up for me? And what's coming up for me, I'm gonna put, just come up, right? What comes up for you? I'm gonna put the clutter, you know, unpacked boxes and unemptied boxes. So it's like a filling and an emptying. And just notice what comes up for you. And then once again, sit with that for a moment with love and understanding and curiosity, and just rate the intensity of that. For me, when I look over there, I'm like, oh, I'll give myself an 8. I'll give myself an 8. The clutter really bothers me in that space. Whether it's a little bit or a lot, it's just, it's holding energy that's not beneficial to me. So I'll just sit with that. Makes me feel some grief. And I'll just put it 8 because I really don't like that. Just, I feel it in my body. And even with the part of your house, you could even identify where you feel that in your body. Where do you feel that? With me, I feel it in my hands. I want to do something. And just notice what comes up as you're looking at your paper. Now you have down your body zone and area and your house. And just give yourself a moment and just think as you look at this level of intensity. Can you imagine what can you do to bring positive energy into that space in my house? With me, it's just making the time and space to put things in their place or to donate them. So it's keeping my hands busy to organize. That's what I'll write down. And you just write down what comes up for you. And then move to your next zone, which is your outer zone. And the outer zone, I left it without a circle because there's more zones, of course, because that's something that we can't control. And just put, you know, whatever that outer zone for you is. You know, it could be right outside of your home, or it can be outside in a bigger scope of the world around you. For me, it's the bigger scope. So what brings me grief, or what feelings do I get of grief? I'm gonna put down this little store. There's a little store when I stay here in Pennsylvania, because I'm from New York, from the Bronx. And there's this little store where I encountered this lady, and she's racist. She didn't even want to accept my money. So when I think of going to like the nearest supermarket here, is that one. And it brings me grief. I don't really want to deal with her. I'm trying to, you know, keep myself cool, not bring out Judy from the Bronx, and just knock out her throat chakra. So I want to keep myself cool. And what words come to me? The words that comes to me, the feeling is just, ugh. And that brings me at a level 10. Because I'm just done with it. But that's what I feel when I think about this outside space and this little store with their little Confederate flag, where I handed her my hard-earned money and she acted like she didn't want to accept it. So it brings me some grief at a 10. And then when I think about what I can do to bring positive energy in that space, to be nice, I'll just think about building my community. Not really. I'm thinking about like calling in all my abundance and shutting down her little grocery store and building up a huge store of all our international foods. But I'll let the almighty source navigate that space for me, but I'll just put down building community and I'll sit with that. And just take a few minutes, being mindful of the time. And look at your beautiful grief mat. And just notice what feelings come up for you on that. And this is an activity that you can continue to grow. I actually brought up, I'm old school, so I call it an oak tag. I think they call it now poster board. And I'm going to expand it and add colors to it. My son got me. I had this nice, beautiful, no, he didn't. Had this nice, beautiful pack of markers that I'm going to color it in and fill it in and truly grow my garden. And just be mindful of the time. I'll end with that there. And if we have a few moments, I would like to hear if anyone cares to share about their experience with this quick activity to process some grief in a creative way.
Hi, I'll share. This is Kaisha. I just shared the outer zone. Maybe I didn't quite understand. I know you used the example of. Okay. Yes, I know you used the example of the lady in your community. So I didn't know what to do. So I'm glad you did, because when we talked about different types of grief, I put in the communication with my husband on a co-parenting level. And how you said you don't go into that lady's story or thinking of that lady gives you anxiety. It was like I was communicating with my ex-husband. And I remember telling someone, a mutual friend said, hey, if you ever talk to, your ex-husband, tell him I said hi. And I told that person I will not. And they was I don't know, people live in a fantasy world thinking we communicate well, but, and so when you put that in the outer zone, yeah, that anxiety, that if I have to contact him regarding my daughter, I hate it. So I feel that anxiety that you have with going to that store or that lady. And so, and thank you for allowing me to address that, and maybe possibly that's some work that I need to do.
Thank you so much for sharing and noticing. Anyone else would like to share?
Sure, I'll share. Well, first I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
So we went through the different zones.
Yes.
So when we're processing grief, over a person or a situation that's no longer, we would just, instead of saying body zone, like would we just put that person and then just work from, our feelings about that person, and then
absolutely
rate our feelings about that person,
mm-hmm.
and the grief of, that we're experiencing, and then look at what we can do to shift that.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
It's an ever growing, and then you can add colors to it, because sometimes there are no words. Sometimes it could be a color, it could, I had one lady just get out a dark marker and just shade it out and just process that, because sometimes there are no words. It's just a feeling. Sometimes we grieve things in our body and we don't know where it's coming from. It could be from in utero, it could be pre-verbal, and it could be actually something that we've been experiencing now that we don't know where it's coming from. But if it's a person, I would highly recommend to do that and just sit with whatever comes to you without judgment, with a compassion for yourself, because this is your grieving process, and just write. There is no structure. That's why I love sharing mine. There is no structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's, as they say, better out than in. It's just to get it out and just to look and notice. Our brain and our bodies know what we need in order to have healing. We are wonderfully and fearfully made. We need to remember that. We are all healers. Thank you so much for
Alright,
sharing. I hope that
thank
helps.
you. You did, and thank you so much for this exercise.
And thank you, Chantel. I totally forgot about this. This is not my norm. It's not new. This is something new for me. So when I was thinking about an offer, and this is just for the Wu family. I appreciate the invitation from Shawnee into this space, and thank you for the facilitators for keeping me grounded and being able to do this. What I would like to offer, if you email me, right now the workbook is New York State specific. I'm adding on to PA because I'm writing and sharing according to all my experiences. The next that I'm adding in is for Pennsylvania, and then internationally, meaning if you're here, meaning specifically me, I'm in New York State. I had my grandfather pass away in DR. What does that look like? What's the paperwork? How do you find investigator and the attorneys on both places? So this workbook right now is 40 pages of all the documents, every single thing that you should have in order to keep your family in order. And we're talking about the healthcare proxy, both powers of attorney, because you have a dual power of attorney that's for the bank and for the financial decisions. And then you also have what the healthcare proxy or the advanced directives, which is I call it the health power of attorney. You can have two separate people taking care of that, one for your finances, one for the hospital. You can write down that you want them to connect. The living will and trust, also the obituary templates, how to put it into the newspaper. In there, I also give the listing of all the newspapers that will accept public notice for your estate, the DNR, the do not resuscitate, also the medical order of life-sustaining treatment. Everything in there, I'm a researcher, so everything in there is the general documents, and I've put in the complete sheet so everything is covered. So I put links in there for short forms if you need a short form for now, but in that workbook are all the long documents. And also if you know of a death doula, end of life companion, broken heart, death workers, there's so many titles. You could even reach out to myself if you need help filling out this document, because it is a tough conversation to have. And at least you'll have a skeleton and a structure where you can continue to expand and change this. So that way you leave your family in order and you do not give access to the state in your state with their laws to make any decision on any part of your estate, even if your estate is just a marker. And I'm offering that here for a donation based. My services, meaning the 1 hour grief, helping you to fill out the workbook for $97. The workbook, you can have access to it for whatever love offering you want to give to Wu, and just send me an email and I'll be more than happy to send it out to you to get you started. So you have an idea of where to start and what you need to put together, and just keep going from there. Thank you for letting me share. Here are my contact information. My phone number is 845-453-4643. I'm new to Instagram. I was telling Chantel, and I appreciate the facilitators. It's like you're bringing a dinosaur out of extinction when it comes to this technology. So I will be sharing some more things in there. My email is yuvelca@gmail.com, and the website is yuvelca.com. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Yuvelca, for this information. We can never get too much of it, and to reiterate it, and you shared so many great resources with us. And thank you so much for sharing your own story and testimony and allowing your testimony to be a healing to others and a learning experience for others. So a way that we can thank Yuvelca for being here with us and sharing all of this amazing knowledge is by sending her some love offerings to for the Wu community through Zelle or QuickPay, as well as Cash App. And when you do so, you will use code pound or hashtag 676YMA so we can shower her with some love. And you can always shower the WOO community on a monthly automated basis where your donations will come out automatically and you can just set it and forget it and know that you're still contributing to this community and the resources that we bring here in the mornings. So you could do $25, $50, $75, or $100 a month. And next up, we have Quasi coming back with Finding the Vibe Within. And that's going to be tomorrow morning for our 30-minute segment. And then we're going to have Coach Jamie come out for Tools Are Us, Toolbox Tuesday. And we're going to talk more about coping and a little bit more about coping and grief there too. So this week's theme is shift. And we definitely learned how we have to be able to shift and pivot when life throws us these experiences, when death is upon us, when we're dealing with grief. How do we shift and still keep things in order? Also, we want to welcome all of the newbies into the space. So if you are a new member, thank you so much for waking up with us this morning and joining the conversation. And we hope that you received what you came here for and more, and that you come back to the community where we come to learn, elevate, and ascend. And you can do so by joining us during the week. So this is our schedule. We are live on Zoom Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 to 7:30 for our 30-minute segments. And you can also catch us on Facebook streaming live, and you can also go there for the playbacks. And you can get text message reminders if you text Woo Nation to 74121, so you don't have to guess when we are on. We'll remind you so you can jump on and join us. We even come with swag. So Woo swag, get your swag to represent the community out in these streets. Grab your sweatshirt. It's about to be hoodie and sweatshirt season. So grab that, your tote bag, your water bottle, mask, journals, because we do a lot of work in here that requires us to write out our thoughts, our feelings, what's going on. So please, please join us at bit.ly/woo swag and get your swag for the fall coming up. And again, we want to say thank you, but most importantly, stay in touch. So come back, join us for some more. You could do so by registering at bit.ly/wakeupmovement. Join our Facebook groups. We have a private and a public group where we share the replays. And then our Instagram is at Wake Up Everybody Virtual. And our YouTube is bit.ly/woo on YouTube. And you can always email us at info.wakeupseries@gmail.com for any questions, comments, or concerns about the Woo community. And I'm going to take this down and we are going to unmute and shower our girl here, Yuvelca, with love. And thanks for her amazing session tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shalom.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This was
Thank
so,
you.
so
Thank you for your information.
Share your story with us.
Grateful that we're all needed information.
Look forward to the group. I appreciate it.
Much for all that you do.
Hey, family.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
Appreciate you bringing that to me.
Thank
And
you.
thank you again for being here with us.
It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I received that all. Thank you.
Just a
Thank you.
comfort to me to hear everything you stated.
Thank you. I received it all. Have a powerful day. Thank you. I received. Thank you so much for your time and for having me in community with you all. I appreciate you all.
Yes.
Thank you. Make sure you come on back too.
I will. I will. Thank you. With that, I'm complete. Thank you.